tags are in the same spot.
Oh, I don't think so. I didn't even think about
I
that.
didn't either. I'm like,
They might have decided to switch us around. We had to check to make sure our names.
I didn't think about it. I assume it's the same one, but I better look just in case.
I know it almost.
No, I'm not.
I'm gonna straddle this middle.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah.
It is.
I guess.
Kim and I are straddling the middle.
I didn't think about that.
Well, and then I always have to check to make sure the table is locked because every once in a while it switched from it.
Sorry about that.
David, here's your chance. Start swimming.
Pre-COVID what? I think it's always been this way, because we've always, well, yeah. Sorry.
No, I do.
Yeah. Seems like
Do
they're
you
all on
need
a circle.
table?
Like in a-
No, but I remember you guys, this table wasn't there.
Jim was here.
Yeah, Jim was there, but when I first started coming to the meetings, this table wasn't here. You guys,
Oh, yes, it was a horseshoe the other way because the horseshoe was this way, so you can see it's that way. Right? I think the horseshoe is this way, open right here.
right.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Look on YouTube to find out.
Oh, it's super.
I think the first swearing in,
Parents here. I don't know, it's too far. Too long.
But anyway, I saw Mike.
Yeah, it was, I mean, I got to take it back, but a lot of people,
He goes, I know she was there.
yeah, I saw, I dropped some stuff off to his office, or actually, I didn't. They had some committee and meeting changes.
Mic's on. We are 4:30, so I'll go ahead and call our meeting to order. This is our regular January board meeting rescheduled from January 9th because of the wonderful weather we had then, and it is the 21st today. Notice was properly given. We will start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first item up before I can move to a different seat will be to approve the agenda. If we recall, we all got an email the end of last week suggesting that we add a new discussion item for the fleet vehicle replacement. There was a flyer on that, some info on that in front of you here. Would propose that be a new discussion item 9D as in Delta, if someone would be so interested in suggesting it or moving for that.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we add D as in David, fleet. Car fleet allowance, is that what it is, or is it just purchasing?
That's fleet replacement.
Fleet replacement, and that would go under 9 board strategic discussion.
Yes. Do we have a second for that?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Hearing none.
Trustee Good,
Yes,
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Winslow is absent, trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, that passes 6-0. One other amendment that I've just noticed is we need to add an item between Romans 3 and 4 for the swearing in of Dr. Hueslig as a new board member. That will need to occur before we do the officer elections. That works for me.
second,
Trustee, Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Winslow is absent, trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, great. That also passes 6-0. We'll move on then, or I guess first we'll,
Do you need approval of the?
oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. We need to approve the agenda now as it's been amended. Oh, you have one also. Go ahead.
I moved to add consent agenda items 11C, A, and B for action items. High school education. Just think it'd be nice to get a kind of a read overview of what it is. And then I thought we could understand all the high school. So,
Okay, so both aspects of 11C to
for action.
A to item B.
I second that.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Winslow is absent, trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Okay, that also passes 6-0.
On a motion, but in the future, when we get all the additions to the board book, they could be added. to the next one. Wherever this one line we find it. Oh, we have now this copy. Somebody looking in the future for whatever this is.
Oh, like the lease stuff, make sure that that gets
Or like this, be added to the,
back to the board, to the original board book.
If it's possible. or-
Oh, okay.
Here's the PDF of all of them.
Sure, yeah. Yeah.
that's a good point. Okay, would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as we've amended it.
I moved that we approve the agenda as amended.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Winslow is absent, trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Okay, we'll move in then to adding in the swearing in of Dr. Houston. Where do I sit here and do it? I know-
I
Either
suppose
the podium
someplace,
since
so
there's a
you're
mic.
on camera,
Podium since there's a mic.
Oh, okay. So where would you like him?
same place.
Same place.
Well, I'll be on camera. Where do you want me is what I'm saying. I'm on camera from here, so. Or do
I
you-
want both of you be there together.
Okay.
Complicated.
No, I'm sorry. I'm fine making.
No, that's fine. That
He's an attorney.
way, Rob,
Well, there is that.
take pictures too.
There is that. Well, thank you. Okay, if you would please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly affirm
I do solemnly
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and faithfully discharge the duties of trustee, Butler County Community College,
and faithfully discharge the duties of trustee of their community college.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Well,
Welcome.
thank you.
Sit right there.
And you don't even have to straddle
No, he gets plenty of leg room.
Oh, no.
Sorry, Dave.
He kind of needs it. He's
Sorry, kid.
he's worse than I do.
He's
so-
taller than I am. so
Yeah.
I'm getting pretty good at moving this chair around though, so.
Yeah, same. Mine.
We will, now we'll move on to our election of board officers. Would entertain nominations for the position of chair.
I nominate Linda.
Okay,
Second.
do we have, no, so I guess I should explain for Dr. Hugheslick's benefit. We'll take nominations for, anyone with a second can be nominated. We'll vote on the nominations in the order that they're made, and then when one attains a majority vote, then that stops the process from continuing. So do we have any other nominations for board chair besides Linda? Hearing none, we can go ahead and vote.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick.
Yes.
Trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, 7-0. Linda, congratulations, or my condolences, however. But we can trade seats. Oh, okay. No, no worries. I have it open.
I'll take your cup. Oh, you got it? Your hands were full. Don't forget your coats over here for us before you leave
Yeah,
tonight.
I'll grab it.
This room is kind of warm.
It is.
Tonight.
Feels good,
I'll-
doesn't I wore thermals.
We haven't had to request a blanket.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for your support. I'll try to do a decent job. So next we have the election, nominations for the vice chair.
I would nominate Kim Brungart.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Good?
No,
No, hang on.
Well,
We have,
No.
see if there's
Oh,
other nominations.
are we voting each one first or, I'm sorry.
No, you have to ask for additional other nominations
That was me. I got ahead of myself. Sorry.
okay.
and then you vote in order.
So additional nominations.
I would nominate Dave Shear.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Do we have any additional nominations? Okay, that closes the nominations. We'll vote on Kim first.
Trustee Good?
No,
Trustee Brungart?
Yes.
Trustee Rhodes?
No.
Trustee Jolly?
No.
Trustee Hueslig?
Yep.
Trustee Shear?
No.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Okay, that would be
That failed 4-3.
fails 4-3. Okay, Dave Shear.
Trustee Good?
yes,
Trustee Brungart?
No.
Trustee Jolly? Or sorry, Trustee Rhodes?
Yes.
Trustee Jolly?
Yes.
Trustee Hueslig?
no,
No.
Trustee Shear?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yeah, you
Yeah, you can.
I think you can,
You
because it's a
can't do-
completely separate motion.
Separate motion.
The completely separate motion.
oh, it is?
But you can do your vote however you want.
Move on down.
So Trustee Smith?
No.
Passes 4-3.
Okay, that passes 4-3. For Dave, Secretary Treasurer. Nominations, please.
I nominate Mary Martha.
No, second.
Okay, any additional nominations? Okay, hearing none, then we'll vote for Mary Martha, Secretary Treasurer.
Okay, Trustee Good?
Yes,
Trustee Brungart?
Yes.
Trustee Rhodes?
Yes.
Trustee Jolly?
Yes.
Trustee Hueslig?
Yeah.
Trustee Shear?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Okay, next we have KACCT delegate. And I think the T's gone now, isn't it?
Yeah, the T is gone.
The
Yeah.
T is gone now.
ACC. And for Dr. Hueslig, all of the rest of these are basically just appointments. I mean, you don't have to vote on them. They're people kind of volunteer or say that they'd like to, participate or be part of this. And so that's kind of how this works.
Okay. There's 4 normally quarterly meetings of the KACC each year in different locations. There will be one meeting this year at Butler, and of course, more than one person can attend. So they're very informational. So is there anyone that has a couple days every 3 months that they'd like to volunteer? Okay, Mary Martha, is there anyone else that has a desire? No. Okay. Board Finance Committee will be the vice chair and one additional person. This committee normally meets at 3:30 the day before the meeting to go over things with
Day
the
of the meeting.
The day of.
day of the meeting, I'm sorry, day of the meeting, to go over the accounting and any anomalies or explanations that are needed. Does anyone have a desire to do that?
I can do it, but it's just because I have free time. Anyone else is welcome to do it. Are you off on Tuesdays, Doctor?
I am,
Okay.
but I can't.
There you go. Would you like to do it?
You know, I've been sitting here less than 5 minutes. Do whatever you tell me, man. If there's somebody that, you know, if you're going to be on it, I consider it for you.
2 people.
Dave will be on.
Dave will be
I'll-
on
I'll-
it. And we need one other.
Go right ahead.
Okay, Mary
You'll be my
Martha,
backup. Okay.
Foundation Board Liaison.
I'm happy to continue in that role unless someone wants to jump in.
Okay, Educational Facilities Authority of Butler County. Two members.
And I'll stay on it, because I've kind of, through attending the meetings, kind of know what's going on.
We have a second.
What exactly is the role of that? Approved
It's, well, yeah, and the authority board includes, because it's a partnership with the city, the school district and the college. So the authority board includes 2 representatives from this college, 2 from the city, 2 from the school district, and then an at-large representative from the city. That's not city staff necessarily. So the school's representatives come from the school board, ours come from the board of trustees. And so during season, you know, when the stadium's being used, EFABC typically may meet once a month. Usually it's a second Wednesday of the month in the morning at 8, from 8 to 9. But it's to approve bills. It's to, you know, make decisions collectively as a board for maintenance of that facility, or you know, one of the things that's coming up that will come up this spring and this summer is the work on turf replacement that needs to be done there. So involved in potentially making a decision about, you know, what company is going to end up, you know, being the chosen vendor and stuff like that. But outside of those regular meetings, outside of the monthly meetings, there's not a lot of time commitment. David Dillner and Jennifer Davis and I meet once a month, as well as the administrators, and really kind of set the agenda and, you know, do some of that sort of stuff so that the, you know, board really kind of just shows up and, you know, has discussion. But the meetings usually aren't that long, hour maybe.
Yeah, 45 minutes to an hour at the most.
There's more work this spring with the turf replacement that'll have to be done, but
I have a standing commitment at my church every Wednesday from 8 to 9. So when you said that, I was
Yeah.
out. So
Anyone else have a willingness?
It'd be difficult for me to get my work day there.
I can do it if no one else can.
I can do it.
You can too. Okay. Linda, why don't you do it?
Okay. Capital Projects Team. This group has not met every month,
that's a minute.
a while, but, we do ask that 2 people, you're going to go with that, Sean.
I'll be on that one again. I would like to make a suggestion. Perhaps we as a board could have a Forbes liaison or somebody with the board that could help investigate the business of the college and where we stand, instead of, and actually know some data, since we have I mean, I'm not motioning to add anything right now, but it would be nice to have a position like that. I know we have access to the computer on site if we want to look at it, but
Say that to me again, what you would like to see.
I would like to see some sort of a Forbes board liaison. So somebody on one of the trustees or 2 of the trustees can ask questions of data we're concerned with, or just stuff we'd like to see. We have a lot of data to look at. We're just not presented much. I think that'd be more productive than
Would it be
Team that
something we
meets.
could add on to the, Finance Committee?
The only reason I say that is because these positions are designated in your board bylaws. And so if you want to add something brand new, you'll have to change your bylaws. you know, that, so.
If everyone's interested, we could, I can make that motion next month and see if they're interested.
I'd like that.
But I'm happy to be on capital projects.
Okay. And if that changed and went as responsibility of the finance committee, are you
I mean,
willing?
anybody can
Or-
show up to finance committee
Right.
and anyone can go to the computer. I don't know
Okay.
where it is. I haven't had time to go. And I think
Tom
Dr.
Neville's
Neville
office
has
is where
his
we
office
designated it.
access.
Okay, capital projects team, one more.
You wanna be on it, Kim? They never meet.
Sure.
Let's,
I can handle that.
what would be on with you?
Okay, next we have recognitions, and I didn't think we had any unless
think we
something's
do.
added.
Uh-uh.
Okay, public
I
comment.
had one question. I heard that Dr. Mohammed was accepted as HLC peer reviewer. I know there's two butlers and I
Uh-huh.
assume it's our butler. But is that the case? Because I don't know if that's a big deal or not, but it's at least a recognition.
Big deal.
Yeah, he'll go through training and work alongside then
Be
Phil,
like the team that comes to the college.
eventually, yeah, when he's trained, uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when the Higher Learning Commission goes through that, when they're setting up site teams and site team visits and stuff. I mean, they have a massive database of people that they choose from, and depending upon the college that they're going to, I mean, they select sort of people based on what some of the needs are in those, you know, in those colleges and in those visits and stuff. So, yeah, so eventually, Dr. Esom will get to go on some visits probably.
Hawaii, I'm hoping.
Yeah. Well-
Operating West Virginia.
That's close to. Well, anyway, congratulations.
It might be the University of North Dakota in February.
So next public comment. Anyone here that would like to?
Linda will read the statement real quick. I bet I have it.
I got it.
Oh, you got it? Okay.
Sorry, I'll get it. Okay, the general public is welcome to address the Board of Trustees under the public comments section of the regular board meeting agenda. Public comment should be germane to the business and activities of the Board of Trustees. The public is also welcome to address the Board of Trustees during the public comment portion of any special agenda, but the public comment at the special meeting should be related to an agenda item of that special meeting. Personnel issues are prohibited from public comment. The board chair will ask visitors wishing to make brief comments to identify themselves and the topic they wish to address. If several members of one group or organization wish to speak to the board concerning the same item, the board chairperson may ask the group to identify a single spokesperson. A limit of 5 minutes has been set for each recognized member or spokesperson of the audience to speak to the board. The board will take no action during the public comment period of the board meetings. However, it will take the matter under deliberation and, if appropriate, direct the president to follow up with a written response and report at the next regular board meeting. So, name and topic.
My name is John Lewis, and I'd like to speak about contract negotiations.
Is your green light on?
It is, yes. Are you able to hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Dr. John Lewis. I've been a professor of English at Butler since 2000, and as it happens, I will be retiring at the end of this semester. As I've talked with colleagues this past year about various challenges facing Butler and higher education in general, some have said to me some variation of this line. Well, pretty soon you won't have to worry about that. So why am I speaking to you today about our lack of a contract and a lack of a guarantee of due process? The reason is pretty simple. I care deeply about the mission of higher education and about Butler and its people, and I will not stop caring once I retire. Due process helps the college accomplish higher education's mission and helps ensure Butler's institutional integrity. That integrity should be something all of us, not only faculty and staff, but everyone who lives in the region, care about deeply. Due process implicitly supports the work of faculty by not allowing rushes to judgment regarding what and how faculty teach. That same process also helps protect the college from accusations of bias or prejudice, whether from faculty or from the community. Finally, due process gives protection to the integrity of the college as an institution. It implicitly affirms that, unless demonstrated otherwise, everyone present is fully invested, equally invested in the college's work of pursuing knowledge and debating ideas. Today, people and institutions are acting out of ignorance or even outright hostility toward higher education's mission. This has happened to Butler in its own recent past at great financial and reputational cost to our college. My colleagues and I do not understand why this administration and trustees, through their inaction, would want to continue to leave the college exposed to such risks. I and my colleagues have repeatedly stated why we want to see this guarantee in our contract. The administration and the board, however, have not stated why they do not want to include it. To offer faculty no reason for refusing even to discuss the terms of a due process clause presents a mystery to the very body whose work they claim to value. Yes, due process is already present in the contract as a matter of state law. But who knows what the future will bring us from Topeka? Here and now, the administration and this board can affirm that they value and respect the college's faculty by including this clause in our contract. It will cost no money to do so, but to faculty and to the college as a whole, this gesture would be priceless. The new semester began last week. As we have been all this academic year, we are prepared to work faithfully, diligently, loyally in service to a college whose administration and board have yet to affirm that work with an agreed upon contract. Faculty will continue to show respect for the college's mission and higher education's mission. All we ask is that the administration reciprocate and acknowledge our faithfulness, diligence, and loyalty. When I retire this year, I will be leaving behind a good place to learn and work, and leaving behind good people as well. But I will not stop caring about what happens to Butler. I want it to remain that same good place. I want it to continue to attract, hire, and retain good people. And I want its administration and board of trustees to show that it is faithful, diligent, and loyal to its faculty. We all should want that. I thank the board for its time.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Okay, seeing no one else, we'll move on to the standing reports. Student Government Association report, Emily Hernandez. She's not, okay. Okay, and B, Operational Staff report, Zach Kennedy, not here. Professional Employees report, Terry Sater.
Thank you, Chairperson Jolly.
Thank you.
If you haven't yet been informed, I'm sure you will soon be informed by your negotiators that a while back we met with the fact finder to discuss matters pertaining to an upcoming hearing, and we did eventually settle on a hearing date, April 10th and 11th. I got that right, didn't I? Looking at my calendar a lot. On behalf of all the professional employees, I invite the trustees to please attend that hearing. And I will certainly keep you informed as to the details of when and where that will take place. We think it's important that our trustees be there to listen to the presentations that the fact finder will be evaluating in the matter of our contract. At the aforementioned meeting, we did discover that the negotiating team was not providing the board all of the information that we have been providing the negotiating team. And hence, I asked Rhonda to pass around one of our latest proposals that our team felt would be a way out of the current contract dispute and a way to prevent having to go all the way to the hearing, incurring both costs in time and dollars. So it's our hope that the board members will take a look at this latest proposal. There was some indication that your negotiating team, that is, was not interested in finding a resolution to this contract dispute before the hearing. We hope that's not true. Certainly, we hope that's not true of the board. We are still interested in finding that off-ramp so that we can all avoid going any further and disrupting the relations between faculty, administration, and the board any further than they already have. So please look over those materials, and we will continue to wait for any communications that will invite us back to the table to find a way out of this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, Finance Committee report, and we did not meet today. So I'm moving on, Foundation Board report.
We also have not met. Next meeting is next month, so we'll have a report in March. Unless something.
When is the gala?
The gala is the first Friday in March. What date?
March 1st.
March 1st. Okay.
Okay, President's report.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce to you, you know these folks already, but Dr. Phil Sperry and Dr. Heather Rinkenbaugh are going to serve this spring semester as co-interim VPAs with Dr. Neville's departure to go to Arizona. These folks are stepping up to take over those responsibilities and still maintain their own. They've got some backup, but I appreciate, just wanted to introduce them. You'll see them at board meetings. You'll hear from them. They're going to engage, with us in the same way that Tom would have done as a VPA. So anyway, thank you. Congratulations. Or in order, maybe. The VPA search is commencing. This spring, the goal is to hopefully have a new vice president here, certainly by the 1st of July. So we're starting through that process here. Last Thursday morning was Donuts with the Legislators that the Kansas Association of Community Colleges has organized for the last few years. We meet on the ground level of the Capitol and greet legislators as they come in and visit with them, coffee and donuts and fruit. And it's just kind of a casual way to connect with them. We also are encouraged to schedule individual meetings with our representatives. And so I did that for the morning. Mary Martha was going to go with me, but ended up not, kind of under the weather. And so I was able to schedule meetings with Representatives Carpenter, Hill, Humphreys, Williams, Penn, Droege, and Blex, and Senator Fagg, also Representative Butler, which is kind of fun to have Representative Butler representing Butler. And for all of them, there were a couple of them I met with Susan Humphreys in the hallway, and Senator Fagg had to change his meeting at the very last minute because of a schedule change. Talked to Representative Williams in the hallway, but really just shared with them that the Kansas Association of Community Colleges legislative requests this year include the same level of funding for our budgets for tiered and non-tiered and for Excel and CTE that we got in last year's FY or current year FY24 budget. We'd like the same amount of funding to cover those things. We also would request again the $14.3 million in apprenticeship funds that went to the two-year institutions. We would like to have the $5 million again that went to the 10 community colleges that have never received any capital outlay. We would like to have that funding again. We would also like to have support for the $6.5 million that was for cybersecurity money that went to all of the institutions. Each of us got $250,000. And so basically asking for really what we got last year. Not all of these things are actually in the governor's budget right now or in the higher ed budget, but Heather Morgan and our lobbyists will be working to try and garner support for those. So visited with all of these folks and then the folks that I couldn't get on the schedule to meet Representative Anderson, Senator Masterson, Representative Owens, and Senator Wilborn. I dropped off in their offices the same document, a letter that talked about our requests for funding and the way that we'd used our cyber money this past year and the apprenticeship dollars and those kinds of things to let them know that we're utilizing those funds and that they're important to us. So, good morning and early afternoon in the Capitol. We also, after we did our donuts from 7:30 to 9, then all of the community colleges that were there signed an MOU with Fort Hays State University for our nursing programs so that our RN students that finish at our community colleges through our nursing programs will have an automatic opportunity to apply for and to step into Fort Hays BSN program. They have limited number of seats and they've got grade point averages and those kinds of things. But as long as our students complete our programs and have finish their NCLEX exams and pass those, they'll have an opportunity to transfer on to Fort Hays. The thing that's significant about this is that this is the first agreement like this across the public institutions in Kansas, the four-year institutions in Kansas, where it's a blanket MOU for a program. And so Fort Hays has always been a great partner for the community colleges. They're the lowest cost four-year institution in the state of Kansas. We don't have a lot of students that transfer to Fort Hays. It's not our #1 transfer institution, but it's a great step in the right direction. And President Mason is encouraged and excited for additional program MOUs that we can put together. She asked each of us as we sat there, what else do we need to work on? And we said, education and business and IT, and there's a whole list of them. So I think there'll be more.
But we do have a lot in agriculture that goes out there.
We do have some, we have some ag students. A lot of them transfer to K-State.
Yeah.
In ag too. Auction and planning and prep is already taking place March 1st, Friday night. March 1st, you'll be seeing invitations to that. I had an email a week or so ago, maybe it's been 2 weeks ago. And just as, kind of a neat pat on the back, this year in the 2024 college football playoff national championship, we had a former Butler football player and a Butler alum on the sidelines for Michigan. Sharon Moore played for us for 2 seasons, where we won back-to-back conference championships with a 20-3 record. He went on to University of Oklahoma, where he played for 2 seasons on the offensive line, finished his bachelor's in communications there, and then went to Louisville as a graduate assistant. And eventually he got hired at Central Michigan in 2014 and is currently the offensive coordinator and offensive line coach in Michigan. So it was fun to have him be on the sideline. He served as the interim head coach for a few games during the season. We also, on the opposing side, Quentin Moore, who played for Indy, was on the opposing teams on their side. So it was fun to have a couple of Jayhawk Conference athletes that were highlighted in that game. Kudos to Ireland and his team. We had a few heating and pipe issues with the cold weather here and there across campus, but they are on top of everything. And I think pretty much have things up and running again. And our folks are out and about on campus. Public safety is out and about all the time. And so, most of the problems were caught pretty quickly and taken care of. Dr. Peter Linden is not here at this meeting. He'll be at the next meeting. He's our new dean in CTE. He was here for the start of Professional Development Day, PDD for faculty, and has hit the ground running. So I think he'll be at the February board meeting so we can officially introduce him to you so you can put a name and a face together. January 16th, when we were closed, we were closed for Martin Luther King Day, and the next day we were closed because of the cold weather. All of the area schools were closed. We were going to be the only ones open, and that doesn't work really well when you're worried about childcare and workers and stuff. But I think it's really important for you to know that we had 29 people in admissions, advising, financial aid, registrar, and accounts receivable working behind the scenes that day still, even though we weren't open, talking to students, getting them registered for classes, helping them with financial aid. So the work doesn't stop, even though, the college is closed. We have lots and lots of people that still have to continue or still choose to continue to do their great work. And so, kudos to those folks for their work with our students. Let me pass out to you we're able now to release to you guys the statewide EMSI, the Lightcast study for the community college system as a whole. I gave you the Butler stuff, I think last month, and if you need another copy of that, I can get it to you. But this is so significant. We've never done a statewide system study before, but the community colleges in Kansas contribute an economic impact of $6.7 billion to this state and support more than 106,000 jobs. And so, read through this when you have time. It's impactful and will be used when we talk to legislators and ask for support. It's the work that the community colleges do is really, really outstanding. And so much of it is not just capital spending, but if you look at this, it's operations spending, obviously, but a huge student spending impact. And this is students that come to our community colleges from outside of the area and locate here and spend money here and stay here. There's also a pretty significant alumni impact that happens with them as well, because when they go to work for businesses, they elevate the economic status of those businesses and the communities and everything. So take some time to look through that. You also will be getting sometime soon, and this is just kind of a heads up, you'll get some additional information, but the expenditure report that you get each month is going to start to come in an encrypted format to you. This is really a decision that's been made on the end with our cyber security folks that help us with the folks in IS and the folks in finance. And there's just more and more, so many opportunities for people to get information and cause problems. And so, from a pretty thorough analysis, that group of people, especially with our cybersecurity, with Tandem Cyber that manages everything for us, really feel like those reports include financial organizations, vendors, sometimes invoice numbers and amounts and things like that could be easily accessed or used in ways by criminals to, target us or create problems for us. And so watch for information. Jennifer's put together kind of a cheat sheet for what those encrypted messages are going to look like and how you access them. You shouldn't have any trouble actually accessing them, but I just wanted you to know that they're going to come in a little bit different format. They'll still come from Saria Wilson, which is who sends them now, but they're going to be a little bit more protected. So, and if you have troubles with them, then just holler and we'll help you. And then I'm going to pass around to you, this thank you card came from the folks from FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America, that student organization. And it's just a thank you note, little Christmas card and holiday note saying thank you for your support as trustees for the things that they do and wishing you a happy holiday.
Who's it from again?
FBLA. That's the group that when they're here, sometimes they're going to state and national competition, but Janice Acow and Noreen Templin helped with that group. Yeah. Used to be Phi Beta Lambda, Phi Beta Lambda, but now it's FBLA. So anyway, wanted you to see that. I think that's what I have. Thank you.
Do
we have long.
any enrollment updates at all?
I don't know current enrollment. I know the other day we were at 99% of our credit hour or our head count, right, Jessica? I can't tell you right off the top of my head. Spring is always typically just a little bit lower than fall, but we've continued to enroll, I think, still this.
We're 99% to our credit hour goal, and our credit hour goal is 55,887. So we're at 55,312.
Thanks.
Was our goal, was it the same as last spring, or was our goal slightly lower than last spring? But we haven't increased from last. And I did have another question. We've mentioned many a times about the ending kind of cliff of students that are going to graduate, 18-year-olds and above. We haven't planned to address that yet.
We're gonna, yeah, working on it. We have, and you know, if you remember right, we've had pockets of increases in high school students, non-traditional, online. So faculty's looking at that. Academic deans are, we can present some information to you.
Do we have anything yet to address it, or is it?
Well, it's going to be a combination of things. You know, the institutions that are increasing in enrollment right now are adding technical programs. Some of them are reaching out where they haven't in the past really accessed or been in high school classrooms. We have been, but a lot of them are adding technical programs to increase enrollment. And so, you know, those are some things that we're looking at and opportunities that we have to, you know, to step out in some areas maybe that we haven't done before. We can, I mean, you know, deans and faculty are just getting back to campus. Right. They're managing still this week class enrollments and course sections and things like that. So let us talk tomorrow at deans a little bit, and we can bring back some, you know, some ideas.
How we're addressing it.
Yeah.
I mean, have we done anything to increase our seeking the Hispanic community that's growing? We've done anything in radio commercial Spanish language, any mailers in Spanish language?
Yeah, we've got some, well, Jessica, I guess Jessica can speak to that. Yeah, we've got recruiting materials that are in Spanish.
Yes, we have recruiting materials that are in Spanish. We also do focus on the Hispanic community in several different ways, attending different events throughout the year. If any opportunity we hear about, we do try to engage.
Have we put out any commercials in Spanish?
That I cannot answer that.
I can field that one. We're actually working on one right now with Radio Lobo out of Wichita. We were hoping to get it up and out in January. I'm looking for the right person to be in the spot, so it won't be out in January, but we do have that one. The other thing, Deanne Shimp and I, Deanne is Director of Advising. We're both participants in the Kansas Community College Leadership Institute, and the Hispanic population is our primary project that she and I are working on together for the college and that. So we'll be diving into a broad project for the Hispanic students with marketing plan, promotional plans, that sort of thing.
If it doesn't offend you all, if you could run the commercial by me, ask for some input up there, familiar with the Hispanic, if you do the listen to one.
Okay.
I don't even know what it is in English, but because I know I work around a lot of them, so it'd be.
Okay.
I would hate to not address them, just a generic commercial that they're looking at.
Right. No, I'm happy to share. I've got a script. We've got a script done, so I'm happy to share that with you.
By a couple of guys, and say, would this interest you and your family?
That would be fantastic.
This way. If not, what's your input?
Yeah, Shelby, that would be fantastic. Yep. Thank you.
Does Butler still sponsor the 99% award over in Wichita?
I believe it's called something else now. I would need to go back. I would need to check with our director of admissions.
Because that includes a lot of underprivileged Hispanic and otherwise
Right.
kids that, and that was always sponsored by Butler Community College.
Yes, and I know it has been in the past. USD 259 has changed some of their events.
Right.
And I believe that's one of them. I just can't recall off the top of my head how that's been revised, but I can check on that.
Okay, if no more questions or comments, Educational Facilities Authority, have they met, Dave? Or
We met last
or
month
Martha?
It was
and
the day after the board meeting. wasn't
yeah, it was the day after the board meeting. And then I think we're putting on the schedule the second Wednesday of every month. And then with the ability to cancel if we need to cancel. As Dr. Kroll said, the next big item coming up is turf replacement and the work that goes on with turf replacement and all of the infrastructure work that goes on with it on the field.
Are we expecting a cost to the college or is it going to be through donations?
A lot of the money has either been committed or is being fundraised. We don't have quotes yet. We don't know, what that'll be, but we'll have more information. Probably, I don't know, we won't probably have it by the February board meeting, but we'll have more information by March. But we just met this afternoon to talk about process through the city and the school district and the college to secure quotes and, how we move forward that way.
Okay, next, our board strategic discussion, core community. I believe they have a representative here. Or
They-
did they? They had to
Yeah.
reschedule?
They'll come in February.
Okay. Higher Learning Commission interim monitoring report. You want to start?
Yeah, I can. I guess I was gonna let you.
Oh, or I can.
Yeah, we need to obviously, start to address in a comprehensive way, the content of the interim monitoring report, the format of it. And again, we have a due date for that report to be submitted by the 31st of March. So there's time, but there have to be some specific things that are included in that report. I know Phil is prepared to assist in the conversation and, provide some guidance about some things that need to be addressed. I know that Linda has started kind of a first draft of the report so that there's a starting point. And so, we just need to make sure that we keep this on our radar screen and schedule time to work on it, review it, revise it, and make sure that we hit that March 31st deadline because they gave us that extension, but we'll need to make sure we have it finalized and submitted by then. So.
And what I handed out was just the overview that we had from Dr. Sperry and bullet points of possible responses. They're nothing set in stone. I tried to think of as many, those are the limit of my ideas. I guess that's what we'll say. So we can scratch anything, we can add anything. I'd be happy to continue to help work on our response. It does have to come from us, not from the staff. And so one of the other things I think,
And do you have an extra copy of what you had? I didn't get it
okay.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, here's one here. And then the copy of the poster.
Here, I got that.
Poster. So Cloud County, I know our affirmations. Shelby's given us some changes, and then here was another opportunity, possibly not totally easy to read, but something that seemed pretty clear when I saw that. And then the only other comment I have about the outline is that Tom Bordenkircher was at the KACC meeting, and I talked to him briefly about some ideas of response, and he was
Buddy.
Was
Tom
that who it
Gordon.
was?
Yeah, Brian Embody is who.
Oh,
you talked
Brian
to.
Embody.
Yeah, the
See?
show president.
Talked to somebody that came to see us anyway. He, supported some of the things and had some other ideas, which I added. So like I said, maybe it's a starting point for us.
This is
And
very difficult to read. Sorry.
Very.
I know.
It's a photo of with
I-
a high reflective glass. Looks like.
And I took the picture, just so you know.
But I do have that affirmation of standards and good practices. It's two small tweaks on what's been good enough for us to sign for the last couple of years. If does anybody have any interest in signing this? Or,
I'd be perfectly fine with signing it.
I mean, I gave this to everyone in August. It's been 5 months for someone to say they didn't like part of it. We've yet to address it. And I did watch through may I have a couple of minutes? Sorry.
Yes, sure.
From the meeting when Tom Bordenkirchner was there. And at the very tail end of it, he said something, if we can show that we have some things that we agree on, it would be helpful, and we can move on from there. Even just this, it's like, hey, we can at least agree that, I mean, this says virtually that. I don't know why we couldn't possibly agree. If we can't, maybe somebody can make me an option, but I think waiting 5 months for somebody even to make a suggestion to this while we're in such dire need to hurry up and get HLC satisfied, it seems odd to me that no one willing to sign that. That was it on that part.
Okay. And I think Kim has some comments. One of the things that when I was trying to put bullet points on these, I kept thinking it had to be just immediate. And these are things that we should plan to do over a period of time, like 2 years. I'm with you. The affirmation in whatever format needs to be done before we send that in, is my opinion. But all the other training and the other things that we want to try to accomplish can be over a period of time. So we just have to commit to doing our best to do the things we say we'll do. It doesn't have to be those, and then move forward. And hopefully they'll see our, that we're genuinely wanting to make improvements. And I think we all do. We've lived it
Like
already.
today, we had Heather Zoom in. Did anybody attend her?
I'm going to
training.
tomorrow. I'm going to.
And there's one tomorrow. I mean, that would be,
2 weeks ago.
yes, and that would be something we could put down that we, we're watching those trainings that Heather has offered.
And if you guys are willing, because I spoke to him at Christmas time, like I said, I have a friend who now lives in Wichita who works with Fortune 500 companies, and a lot of tech companies on their board of directors in giving them training programs. And I'm willing to contact him for us so that he could come and, have him look at previous tapes and offer suggestions and offer a training to us that he gives to his corporate clients. And if you guys are open to that and we want to include that, we can do that where it's not quote, it's more from the business community than from the educational, and how he works with, and we're talking corporations like Cisco, Intel, and those, and how he works with their board of directors.
I'd be interested depending on the cost.
Yeah, I'll
You
find
get
out.
a
on the
binder
cost.
fee.
Yeah, well, and I think part of it is he's an alum of Butler Community College, but I think he would also be willing to help us out, at it.
I think.
Oh, go ahead.
To stay focused on our agenda though, when Tom was here, Mr. Bordenkirchner, I asked him specifically at 1 hour and 17 minutes in required action. The report says it should affirm the board members understand the limits of their roles and the appropriate role for the president and administration. The college may choose to submit any edited or updated documents, including a code of conduct, statement of ethics, and or board bylaws insofar as they affirm the board's understanding of the duties and limits of the role. I asked him, is this that we are all that we are required to do? He said, yes. And is this all we need to focus on? He said, yes. On YouTube, the August work session, it's time stamped at 1 hour, 17 minutes and a few seconds. So we need to keep our focus on, do we understand our thing, our division of power? Do we understand this? Let's make our report that focuses on this, and we can do all the other stuff later.
But I think that's what our report needs to focus on. And then the training that we did on October 19th for 45 minutes, they said, address your point, do 1 to 7 pages maximum. Don't bring up all your old past training. Don't bring up all your old past problems. Address the issue concisely. No more than 7 pages per issue. So I think if we can focus on how we understand this, and we can add, paragraphs and pages of to detail the division of labor between the college and the trustees, and we say, yeah, we all understand and agree to this, and we can sign another affirmation stating that. That would be.
Okay. Do you?
Yeah, somebody will have to write all that.
Right. And Tom said it's our problem to do it. It's our job. It's not any of you guys' job to do it.
Yeah. I think the most help I could give you is a structure for the report, because I think I would understand what they will anticipate to read, which will basically a section where you explain your understanding of the concepts in the core component, and then your understanding of the response from the team in relation to those components, then your actions that you intend to take, and then a time frame for that as an action plan, and then a summary. And I think that will take about 7 pages, but you really have to pretty concretely demonstrate your understanding of those concepts in terms of what you intend to do in the short term, and also at least in the next couple of years. But I think that in terms of the affirmation, I would hope you would consider what Shelby is offering, and also other examples, and agree on that pretty shortly, because I think that will be very foundational to their response to your report. And then past that, what actions you're going to take in the next couple of years.
The poster that Cloud uses, and that's hanging on their boardroom, the Association of Community College Trustees updated the language that has been embedded in the affirmation of service, and they call it now their guide to ethical governance. And so what Cloud did was just reproduce the language in that guide to ethical governance and put it in poster format and put their logo on it. And then the very bottom of it says that ACCT has developed the code of has developed the model code accepted by the Cloud County Community College Board of Trustees. And so it's just a general acceptance, but that's where this comes from, is actually ACCT standard or guide to ethical governance.
So instead of signing anything,
they just voted to accept it.
vote to accept it.
And it's posted on their poster size, posted on their boardroom wall.
Did your copy on your phone turn out better?
No, this is exactly what it looks like. I have 2 pictures and they're both this way, but I also have, I used to have, I guess I can still have it. I have some copies of this guide to ethical governance, and I can email it.
I would personally ask as a board, can we do our own thing that we already have slightly amended to show that we're capable of doing our own thing and not copying Cloud because they have, I don't know what it says precisely, and if it's,
Well, I'd like
it
to
says,
read
it
it.
says, as a
I'm
governing
passing
board
all
member, I
email.
am required to, which
I don't have
automatically
any more
makes me
copies, but
principal.
hand that one to
If it
Shelby.
doesn't
That's exactly what it
precisely-
says, and then I'll email it to you.
Okay.
Okay, so,
I do have a couple more points before we move on.
Okay.
I can wait. I just wanted to throw that out before we move on.
I,
Okay. And it says in here, the Kansas, we need to keep in mind my Kansas statute, what our duties are. And it does say on this amended form that we will be, let's say, long and the short of it says we don't follow any special interests or do any of that. And then during this last election, there was nothing but Christy Williams money, Koch brother money, all this special interest that I was supposedly influenced by. This is directly related to the HLC because it seems like I'm not abiding by the Kansas statute. So I do have my campaign finance report, if anybody would like to see it. Christy Williams gave me $100. There's no Koch brother money. So if anybody would like a copy now or after the meeting, it'd be nice to put this horse to rest and quit talking about the mythical Koch Christie things that are trying to destroy the college, because I don't understand any of it. It's nonsense. If you like black and white proof, I brought it.
As a recipient of flyers that came from unidentified sources, someone was putting money into that election. Now, whether it was Christy Williams or someone else, I don't know, and I don't know that we'll ever know. But to say that there wasn't someone on the outside trying to influence the election is naive.
That has nothing to do with me being influenced by something. I don't know who put that thing out. It could have been one side or the other, the way it was written. I have no idea. It was weird. My opponent wasn't addressed. I don't know. But I mean, we can't stop an individual from spending whatever money they want during campaigns.
And
But I just
and
think,
if
I
you
think we need
believe
to end
that
the
there's some
conversation.
individual out there doing it, then that is your
But
opinion.
if Christy was wanting to spend a lot of money doing, she would give me more than $100. You guys could, and also you can request Tatum at the county who she gave other money to. I assume she gave $100 to the other three candidates. I don't know how much she gave them.
On the
You could
front line-
easily say, okay, she didn't, I don't know. I'm just tired of hearing about that. It doesn't help the college get better if there's some mythical straw man that is the evil boogeyman that we can blame everything on. I don't think it's helpful.
I think there's got to be some level of respect for the people in this room. I mean, because at the end of the day, it comes across like, you know, Shelby and I are lumped in some group that has some anti-college agenda, which is just not true. And I'm the same way. I didn't even get that much donated to my campaign, but I would just like to have each board member explain what problem they have with what Shelby has presented in terms of taking that document, making minor tweaks, and then presenting it. I don't understand the issue because it's just like nobody talks about it. He's asked multiple times and nobody has answered his question, very, very basic question, which is, what's the problem with it? So it would just be nice to know.
Okay, so to move things forward, do we want a committee? Are we going to have a work session? How are we going to come to consensus on what we're presenting to HLC?
I think step one is sign this, agree to that, and then work on our 7-page letter. I offered to write a rough draft 3-4 months ago and crickets. No one has any interest in my input.
Okay.
But Board and Kirchner was very specific, and also to bring back just the seriousness of the situation at 5408, which is the timestamp, not a terribly serious situation. A monitoring report is a monitoring report, which it can get bad if we don't address it. 5520, the board, it's something the board can easily fix. At 5720, is this incredibly serious? No. Is it public? Yes. I mean, these are all quotes from Mr. Bordenkirchner, and then we're not here in front of the meeting and we can all say, oh, it's so terrible. We got to do all this stuff. It's like, we literally asked them point blank questions and we listened to a 45-minute HLC run training where they said minimal, we don't have an outline for you. Get it to us. We don't want to hear too much. Let's just get a rough draft started. I'm happy to help with a rough draft with you. Like, hey, this is what we've done. They don't even want to know what we've done. They're specific in that. Don't tell us what you've done.
Well, we've been to training after training, telling us about compromise and trying to get to some kind of consensus. And I see us or Shelby specifically trying to say, here's an idea with literally no feedback given to it. So I don't understand how a body is supposed to compromise when there's only a one-sided conversation. So I don't know if it's a committee or whatever that needs to be put together.
Yes.
So to respond to your point, Kim, I viewed what Shelby was proposing as one part of our overall response.
Sure.
My not responding before wasn't indicative of I don't agree with it and I won't approve it. I haven't looked at it independently because I know it's going to be part of a larger project. And if we need to take that up, well, we certainly can. The concern that I have is Shelby, and this will seem like I'm attacking and I don't mean it that way. Your comments throughout this process, I have viewed as trying to minimize our obligation to respond, which I think is minimizing the importance of the process. And at one point, I think you suggested that all we have to do is just point to the fact that we signed this new affirmation and say, we're done, look what we did. And I think we've heard from Dr. Scurry and others that that is going to be viewed as woefully inadequate.
Right, and I gathered that from Mr. Bordenkirchen, but that is a good first step. He said the more evidence, the better. But like I just stated, it's not terribly a big deal. It's not a it's not a terribly serious situation. Something we can easily fix. It's not incredibly serious. That's what gets me. I'm in the business world and they're like, hey, or if your wife sent you with a list to the grocery store, get these 3 items, and you're like, wait a second, I couldn't possibly get these 3 items. She means 3 different items or 16 items. And it's like, well, let's at least start with, they gave us literally 1 paragraph instructions and address this 1 paragraph with no more than 7 pages of data. And we're doing nothing about it. And even Bordenkirchen at the beginning, he's like, the report is due 1/12. This is serious. You need to get to working about it. Don't put it off. And here we are in January, we're past January 12th. We haven't even signed a single thing.
But we asked
So
him
it's-
for an extension specifically
We
because
didn't ask him for the extension.
Phil and I did.
I
Phil and I did to give
But
you
we-
additional time because there was going to be a new
But we've
board
we've done
member.
0 to address it.
Well,
except talk
Linda's
about it
already started
endlessly.
a draft. Linda
Well,
has
let's just
started a
sign this
draft.
right now if we're willing to do it. Are you guys willing to sign?
No, and I'll tell you why. Okay, because I did look over it and I've got my notes here.
Okay.
Okay, it says what you did add is you added to the subject at the very beginning, you added the Constitution of Kansas into the Constitution of the United States. Okay, we just heard in the oath where we do that. So why add it? I don't understand why adding it to something that doesn't need to be there. And then you're making another separate to support the decisions and policies we make and to speak with one voice. Once a decision is made, you left out that and you kind of changed it. And I had a problem with that.
That's the problem I had too. I will publicly affirm that the majority decision of the board constitutes the policy of the college. Whatever the majority says, that's the policy of the college. That's what the policy is, regardless of how I voted. And even you, a couple months ago, you disagreed with the vote and you publicly said, I don't agree with that, but that goes against the thing you have signed. You said you.
Madam
won't do that.
Chairman, can we get Jennifer to take a copy of Shelby's proposal and get a copy for everyone right now, please?
Okay, and in the meantime, I'll say we have 4 potential scheduled meeting times.
Thank you,
Um,
Jennifer.
Our board meeting February 13th and March 12th, and if we would have our work sessions like we used to, then we would be February 26th and March 25th. So without an extra meeting, we have to figure out how are we going to resolve this
Could
in
we
this
do some of
timeframe.
This via email between us.
Yeah.
We can get it hammered out to see.
I,
We can't send a group email and get feedback, but we could maybe come to something
What
of
if-
a rough draft and then.
could we,
Get the rest of the
could we
board's
work as
input
a
on it.
small group and just meet someplace?
Has to be less than 4.
So who would like to work on this?
Well, Linda, you've already got things going. Shelby,
I don't
you
want
got
to
things
meet and
going.
talk about it. I
Could
would rather
you just keep on going
present
with it?
something. And then we could,
And
I mean,
and I'd be willing to help you.
Okay,
I
so,
think it makes more sense to provide for the 2 or 3 of you to put together a draft and then we review that rather than the 7 of us trying to
because we're just.
to work
round and
language
round
together in the
forever.
middle of a meeting or a work session.
okay, so Dave, Shelby and myself will work towards presentation for February 13th, our next board meeting.
Another thing I'd like to say, it's like, if we could do this behind the scenes, get this done with, there's a lot of important stuff at the college we need to be.
Yes.
We're not spending our time wisely. We spend.
Does that
Thank you.
agree? Is everyone agreed with that?
And
Yes.
if you
Yes.
tell me, I'll tell the school district, so I don't substitute that.
Is it, are,
And if we haven't gotten far enough by February 26th or 13th, then we're going to have a work session.
I don't mind a work session, but I just don't want to have two more work sessions and then a draft and then a final draft. And then we sit around and say what.
Okay,
It doesn't work
We
for a
can-
group to try and wordsmith all of it.
No, we can, yeah,
No.
that's my problem with that thing. There's like one sentence I disagree with and I can't sign it because I won't. Be hemmed into not being able to say what I
Maybe
think.
we'll figure out a sentence.
I think this takes care of it. But it depends on if everyone can agree or not.
so from the draft I have, and do you have a draft that you could provide? We need to, if we
The
knew
HLC,
when
that's the
we
HLC.
met that there were, not the affirmation, but
You're talking about
other,
the stuff you presented this evening.
right, that.
I haven't read it yet. so-
No, I know, but if we knew how much of that we wanted to include, not to include, or if there's other ideas, can we solicit those?
May I make a
Sure, as long as
suggestion?
Tom said we
Yeah, I
could
think
submit
as
stuff to
long
him
as
and he would give us
you are-
feedback as well.
A quorum that's meeting, you guys can get together and propose draft and propose, narrative. You just, if there's more than three of you that are meeting, then we have to notice that up.
We
because of
can't
quorum.
do a
So-
group email of all of us
Yeah.
inputting because then it's a meeting that's not on record.
Could
Yeah,
we
so
also-
You guys can
Right.
develop a
Could
draft.
we also include Dr. Sperry in on this? I think he would be a big help.
That should matter.
Yeah.
We can-
Okay. Well, we'll try to set a time and coordinate with you. Okay.
Linda, I have just offer one. Yes. I would also note that the whole concept of serial meetings is also an issue. So although Dave and Linda and Shelby are the ones meeting, Shelby can't have a separate email string with three of us and Linda have a separate
Right,
email
right.
string with
Right.
the other three.
Right.
And then everybody's collaborating, although it's not in one specific email.
Right.
So just,
Right.
if we hadn't thought about it that way, that would be a coma problem as well.
Okay,
We'll put this on the February agenda as a discussion.
okay, core reports on page 7, you'll see the 5 core reports we had.
Could somebody explain those? I was curious what those were.
Yeah, probably can.
These are just requests from the public for public information. And a summary of those reports. Over the past several years, we've had reports that were asked for by board members. I think that's why this report was initiated. Currently, these were issued by board members. If you have particular questions about any of these, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Is there anything we should know about as a board? Like there's
These are just things people ask us for and we provide it. It's public.
facing any impending something
No.
down the pike that somebody requested a law firm. I'm trying to do my due diligence and find out. Do I need to know what any of this is in regards to? Or
I don't think there's anything to be concerned about on those.
like in video footage, I assume somebody's had a car wreck or something.
Yeah, what happens there is when people have a car wreck on our property, they know that we have security cameras. So they try to get that footage. Sometimes it's available. In that particular instance, it wasn't available.
The first law firm, they were just given a copy of our guidelines. So
Yeah.
that's what they do with it because it's public information. Somebody's.
And then we charge according to our schedule for the information. Yeah, right. The policy spells out how much we would charge. So when we get a request, the first thing I do is send them back our policy, tell them, I'm going to check with the people, see how long it's going to take. We give them an estimate. Sometimes, like there's one in there says it's still open. I'm not really sure. I don't recall that specifically, but sometimes as we communicate back and forth, and either they lose interest or they just don't care that much. Okay.
So do they pay before you give them the information?
That was our policy. Okay. Board action items, A,
That was,
it's
wasn't that a discussion? Oh, is that an action item? I'm sorry.
No, we added it as the last discussion.
Oh, yeah.
oh, it's the last discussion. I'm sorry. It was E then, move to E. Okay, then fleet replacement. You have a handout in front of you in reference to
Pick a hand down, right?
It looks like this and Ireland will give
Looks
us
like
some.
this. It kind of has with enterprise. Or like that. Or that's how mine printed out on my printer.
Yeah, I think it might be helpful to just have Ireland kind of give an overview of that.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yes, this here, topic for information is we're looking at, possibly going with Enterprise Fleet Management as our purchasing agent and, leasing. In the last 3 to 4 years, we have struggled to find vehicles that state contract. The factories aren't making them, or we can't find them, especially the larger 15 passenger vans and cars. And if we do find them, they're at least twice as high as it was 3 years ago. So we actually are looking at Enterprise. They actually are a fleet management company. They're going to piggyback on the Sourcewell National Co-op, which is a co-op that runs the national and state contracts. Anyone associated with that contract or Sourcewell has to submit the proposals that go through a vetting process, and they have to, send them in pricing at a state or national contract pricing. As is said in the description, the reason I found out about it is I was at a couple conferences this year, and quite a few of the community colleges in the States have went to leasing instead of purchasing. It gives them the opportunity to change out their aging fleet at a more reasonable price and everything. So we're planning on next month bringing you a proposal for an agreement to start working with Enterprise Fleet Management and actually start speccing out vehicles if it's approved, and actually get a solid number for my budget. This process the purchasing or leasing will come out of a budget I already have for fleet replacement. So.
Yeah, I'd just like to add on to that. When we bring the proposal next month, that's simply an agreement with Enterprise for their management services. We're not actually going to be leasing any vehicles at that time. When we do the leasing, that would be an expenditure that we would need to bring back to you at the time we do it.
I will tell you that I worked for a company in the early 90s. And at that time, we were under Enterprise. And it was a very good deal for the company that I worked for.
We actually looked at Enterprise about 10 years ago for leasing, and at that time, it didn't quite make sense. This program here actually gives it equity in our vehicles. It's unlimited mileage. So we're able to actually come out with better budgetly. We could back then. So does anyone else have any more questions this month? Yes.
Arlen, do we have a good feel from experience on what our mileage? I mean, it seems like that's going to be a critical component in trying to assess whether their residual value is going to be comparable to what we think it is. Do we feel like we know how often these vehicles are used to be able to project that forward?
Yes, our average mileage, which surprised me, was under 8,500 per vehicle. The way we rotate them long trips, short trips to try to extend the life of them. They gave a very
Very detailed schedules. They did their research on that.
Detailed schedule, and a very the numbers that they put in here are very conservative that they're feeling.
You say they, meaning what Enterprise
has given us. Yes.
Okay.
Is there an option that we can buy out the lease?
Yes. The only thing, if there isn't a term limit or whatever, but any lease we start, we would have to complete. And most of the leases would be in a 3 or 4 and 5 years at the longest. So
And would they have Kansas license plates on them in Butler
They
County?
will have Kansas license plates. They will be actually tagged under Butler Community College. They'll have our logos on them and all that. So
Well, one thing, they'll probably, the vehicles will probably be white and not gray because they're cheaper.
Mhm,
exactly.
that's right.
So
Okay, any other questions?
Thank you, Ireland.
Thank you.
Yes, they have one quick point. You might want to make sure, Ireland, sorry, that we fill out our conflict of interest form and hand them in tonight before we leave. And it might get lost in our pile of papers here tonight. Dr. Husing, did you see that one? There's a,
Thank you.
I'm gonna go ahead and pass mine around just so I don't forget.
Okay, under board action items, there's nothing. Do I have this right now? There's nothing under Riddler Institute of Culinary Arts signage for this meeting. So we go to we just go to the consent agenda then. Do I have a motion to approve?
So I had the
Shall we move?
I had the two that I
Oh.
moved to action items.
That's right. Okay, now I have those in the right place. It was B.
I was just wondering if somebody, staff or administration could give a broad overview of what those two both mean. And then, the way Dr. Husing could hear it.
Dr. Rinkebot is able to do that.
All right, thank you.
I can definitely speak to the high school articulation agreements, but the revision to the early childhood, I would probably defer to Julio on that. So high school articulation agreements, they're kind of explained in that topic for action. But they are all career and tech ed classes that are offered in the high school. They are high school curriculum that we have our faculty in those programs look at and review. If a high school student is taking curriculum in their high school classes that is similar or mirrors our curriculum, then our faculty will sign off allowing for articulated credit for that class. A lot of times it's elective credit because it meets some of our competencies, but not all of them. And what it's meant to actually help recruit students to Butler after high school. So the agreement that is signed, the student has to actually apply for that credit to Butler, and they have to complete 12 credit hours with Butler to get that credit. So that's what that is. And we do it with individual schools will reach out to us all across the state. And then also we articulate directly with the Kansas Department or the Kansas Education System. So with KSDE. So that way, if a school is looking for articulated credit for their students, they can go pull from any college that has articulated credit with the city. Yeah.
Question, because I would really like for El Dorado to beat Augusta this year. Augusta has the most students. So I went in and talked to the counselors at El Dorado High School. And most of the students there are having trouble coming up with funds to pay. And is there any way that we can come up with something for them? I told them about the Endowment Association helping out one of my previous students and to call Avery, but anything else out
Yep.
there?
That's what we do. The state, also the legislature actually passed that the school district can now help with tuition. So that's actually in the Kansas Challenge Act. So we do have some schools that do that, that will help pay for tuition. There are different, for instance, in the Flint Hills, we have a group that has put together a foundation that then awards scholarships. We work with the foundation here as well. There just aren't as many scholarship dollars dedicated to high school students. But we absolutely take student, if we know of a student that's in need, we take that to Avery often.
Okay.
So obviously the Excel and CTE classes are the tuition and most of those fees are waived. And that's provided by the state. We're reimbursed for that. And then the gen ed, the 5 gen ed classes are zero tuition also.
Thank you.
We need to move to pass that now before on the second item.
I don't think there's a motion.
You can do them all I think you can do them all at once since they're all under the same heading C. If Julio wants to explain that.
Sure. Sorry, I just asked.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, so Julio Guerrero, Dean of Health Education and Public Services. I'm here representing early childhood education. So do you guys have any questions or do you want to talk a little bit about what we're trying to accomplish?
Proposed revision. I just know if you just give like a quick snapshot overview.
Yeah, so Kathy Gray, our new lead instructor in early childhood education, and we reviewed. Well, she came up to me with with some issues she was having with one of her courses where students were enrolling and they weren't prepared for the course. And I was asking, well, what's the issue? And she's like, well, they need to have experience in early childhood education. So we've proposed to add a prerequisite to that course. We have one other course that has a prerequisite, that's CD 295, which is leadership in early childhood. It stipulates that students have to have already completed 21 credit hours of early childhood in order to enroll in the course. And she has mentioned, and even in our previous lead, Teresa Thompson mentioned that this course is an advanced level course. So we've kind of designated these two courses as our advanced level courses. So the first proposal is to add a prerequisite to CD 222, which is child care administration. And then so when we started to, discussing that, we started to review our AAS, which, doesn't change the AAS, but it definitely changes the early childhood certificate, which is a Cert B certificate. And it now changes our new Cert A, which is our early childhood business administration certificate. So what we're proposing is that we designate our early childhood education certificate, our Cert B that we've had for a while, as our foundational certificate. That's a certificate that's designated or designed for students to get a certificate in order to enter the workforce and to start gaining years of experience. The early childhood business administration certificate is designed for early childhood professionals who already have years of experience and who are prepared to take ownership of a small early childhood facility. So moving our newly designated advanced level early childhood courses makes sense to move them into the advanced level certificate. And if you review the proposal, we're actually creating a stackable credential where a student can complete the early childhood certificate, move on to the early childhood business administration certificate. And then after they've completed that, all they need is to complete 4 courses to complete the AAS, which is a truly stackable credentials. So what we're needing from you, and this is part of the KBOR approval process, is that we need support from the Board of Trustees. Yes, ma'am.
Have you checked with Head Start to make sure these qualifications are what they need for their workers? Because they require the Associate of Science too. But if those classes are in there, I just think Head Start is going to be one of our major childcare people. And I just want to make sure we are serving them too.
Specifically, I can't tell you, but okay. Kathy Gray, has all the professional experience, and she's.
But you got to know those Head Start. They're
sure.
really
Yes,
picky.
Well, we also did reach out to the advisory committee, the early childhood advisory committee.
That.
And we had, I believe, 9 responses, and all of them were in unanimous approval of this.
I think Tanya Bullock is the one that you need to visit with in Wichita.
I believe she was one of the respondents.
No, I'm so sorry. She's Child Start. I'll think of the other person's name here in a minute.
I know when Teresa was here and there was some conversation about revisions, in the early childhood area or connections to Head Start, our instructors are really connected to Child Start and to Head Start people. So I would venture to guess that they're very well aware of what they need. This is because these are curriculum pathways that are similar across the state in all of our programs, they're probably not going to divert a whole lot from what requirements are needed in those
Well, it
job
has to be,
positions. Yeah.
it has to be a science or associates of science degree for Head Start. It cannot be associate of arts certificate. It has to be associate of science.
Our associate's degree is an Associates of Applied Sciences. It's an AAS degree.
This one is specifically AAS. Yeah.
Thank you.
But
Any other
if you're
questions?
concerned about the associate, we didn't make any changes to the Associates of Applied Sciences. It's the certificates and how they were structured in order to create the stackable credential.
Okay, so are we ready to approve the consent agenda, including the items under C that we discussed under
These are
board action items?
currently. So I would move to approve ratification of agreements and contracts A and B.
Okay,
And I'd second that.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Jolly,
yes.
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes, I would move to approve the consent agenda as it remains.
I'd second that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, we move on to supplemental information. Dr. Mohammed? Okay.
I have several questions. I would like to, if, on page 156, if we could talk to Jessica a little bit about the Inclusion Council. We kind of skipped over this last month and Dr. Mohammed stuff last month. If I could ask a few questions. I can wait till you get up there for a second. Oh, however you want to do it, you just have to leave on mic. You guys know me, I got thrown my 2 cents, so.
Do you have your?
I don't have it.
I didn't know. Like on the Inclusion Council, last month it said the team will identify systemic inequalities in all BCC processes. And it's going to prioritize bringing experience and perceived diversity of BCC's faculty and staff in closer alignment with the population it serves. We're going to increase the diversity of faculty and staff by a measurable amount before 2026. What are you talking about? Because to me, it sounds like Title VII of Civil Rights Act of 64 prohibits employment discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, and national origin. And it sounds like we as a college are specifically saying we're going to specifically discriminate based on these practices, and we're going to keep track of how we discriminate.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure what page you're on. And also,
Well, I was on page 63 from last month that I read. But your page is 156 this month.
is it 156 for this month?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And I know my name is listed there. I did not provide this report. So I think was that Dr. Sperry that provided that? So my apologies. So I'm not sure that I can speak to that specific question.
But what does it mean? We're going to increase diversity of faculty and staff by a measurable amount before 2026. What are we trying to accomplish by focusing on perceived diversity, systemic inequalities?
It's
And then it's constantly stated, like at the end of page 157.
You said it was page 63 from last month?
Yes, sorry.
Yes.
Last month and 156 this month.
And it says our strategic alignment, we're gonna achieve defined objectives for faculty, staff, and students. But it sounds like our council's work is aimed at leading sustainable systemic change across Butler's institutional culture, advancing our strategic goal, inspire values of equity and access. I don't think we need to inspire equity. We need to have equality of opportunity. Equity is when you take different people and make them the same by giving certain people preferential treatment. I just think, I don't know, as the college, we need to worry and focus so much on dividing everyone all the time and having a specific thing in writing and saying that, I mean, if we could have a lawsuit in the future, someone said, well, I wasn't chosen because I was discriminated against, and it clearly states in their policy that I could be discriminated against. And there's a myriad of things they could be discriminated.
I think while he's reading, I'm gonna jump in a little bit. I think that there's a hyper focus here on potentially on race. I think it's important to note that diversity is well beyond race. We're talking about students that come from all walks of life. So a good example I can think of, because I've been part of some of the initiatives, is a first generation college student. So when I think about equity for our students, a first generation student doesn't have parents that know how the system works, that knows when they need to do what. So part of the work of the Inclusion Council of everyone at the college is to create that equity, to create access, because some of our students come in and they don't have anyone else to help them navigate college.
That's specifically addressed in the next section of Dr. Mohammed's information.
Sure.
And that's, I'm 100%, that doesn't divide anyone, but by financial.
Right, so that's a key
I mean,
performance
we're
indicator.
not discriminating against anyone. It's like you've never been to college, boom, you're first generation learner. But this specifically states that we're going to make we're going to prioritize the experienced and perceived diversity of BCC's faculty and staff in closer alignment with the populations it serves. We're specifically trying
So it's still
to
last
make-
month's.
yeah,
Is it
to make our staff look like, my question, for instance, like the Inclusion Council. What is what's the makeup of the Inclusion Council? What's the demographics? Does it represent precisely the community it serves? Is it overly Caucasian? And we're doing a lot of woke nonsense that's going to cause us trouble if someone gets discriminated against in the hiring process. Hey, Shelley.
Hey, so this has kind of been an objective from an employment perspective for quite a while, is to be able to attract and invite more diverse candidates to our candidate pool. We currently have probably 87% of our candidates are Caucasian. So how do we get more people of color, of different origins, of different nationalities, of different ages to apply? So we have to have a more targeted approach to be able to reach them.
If you're of color, you'll get a leg up because we're going to try to.
No, it's not like that. It's not affirmative action. What we're trying to do is really say, we want to have more of that diversity that is similar to our student populations. If we have 68% of our students are African American and Hispanic, but our teaching base is 97% Caucasian, that's not representative of the people that we serve. So how do we attract more people? The real issue is that there are smaller numbers of professionals of minority or of different origins and so forth in our market. So we have to do a better job at really targeting where we go. Just like you were saying about the Spanish student or the Hispanic student, how do we get to them to bring them to the college, because that's such an avid population that needs these services, right? Yeah. So right. So wouldn't they expect then to see Hispanic speaking teachers to be able to educate them? If you're attracting that population of student, then you would also want to attract that population in your teaching and faculty and staff.
As teachers, if we have to pay more to get them or have a good atmosphere in a college. But I don't think we can say that we're going to increase diversity by a measurable amount. How do you increase diversity without taking into account someone's race?
Well,
it shouldn't be a factor at all. It shouldn't
No,
matter.
I think.
Well,
It's
Right,
making
but we
sure
shouldn't,
people.
but we're setting up the thing where we could discriminate against someone simply based on race.
no,
Because
I-
it will help us.
I disagree.
I don't see it that way either. I think that you discriminate when you don't find ways to attract those of different races, nationalities, origins.
About attracting, we're talking about choosing the final applicant.
Well, you have to get them in your pool first to be able to choose. And we're not able to do.
I don't understand what discrimination we're currently doing. I don't.
You use your example with trying to target the Hispanic community for students.
Right.
There are similar targeting for applicants, for teachers, for folks with degrees to come and get jobs. If you're not going out of your way to send materials or send information out to that group, they may not ever know that you have an opening, so they're never going to apply. You're never going to consider them because they don't ever submit an application. This is making sure they're aware. Part of this is making sure they're aware of that.
Right, I'm totally down for that and getting everyone to know about it, but we can't say that we're gonna increase the diversity of the staff by a measurable amount. You're literally saying we're gonna choose people based on their skin color. You can't, there's no other way to parse that. We can give more opportunity to people, but you can't literally say, hey, staff's color got to change because we're too white and our community is 93% white. That's not our fault. It's just like, I always say the example, if we were in Japan, University of Japan, Kyoto, wherever it is, they would be 98, 99% Japanese. They're not discriminated against any other race that's there. That's their demographic where they exist. I just think bringing race into it is problematic, especially when you try to set measurable goals that we will do our best to fulfill. You can only do that by discrimination. As in just say, we're gonna. I'm just thinking,
personally, I think you're bringing race into it, where equality has a
quality of opportunity.
it has
we're talking equity.
a bigger, well, even equity has a much bigger meaning to it than just race.
I understand.
I mean, it could be.
There's race, sexual identity, there's religion, there's height, sex. I mean, the multisectionality is infinite, but everyone's an individual. That's what I'm saying. We should just focus on the individual, get everyone an equal shot. We'll hire the best candidate for the job. We'll give them the best pay, the best wages. We don't care about anything else. But this is a lot of focus on caring about the stuff we shouldn't care about. And I know I shouldn't bring it up because it goes nowhere and gets everybody mad at me, but I think it's important in 2022 to quit talking about race all the time and all the things that divide us, and let's focus on what we all agree on.
But I think the point of this, you're looking at a report from the Inclusion Council, and the whole mission of that group is to create those equities and help our students, faculty, and staff feel a part of this community. And when we look at this community, we are not predominantly, I mean, we are more diversified on this campus. And so that's the work of this group, which I'm proudly a part of. And I want to have those conversations because our students they need to feel connected to that community. And that's what this group is doing. So that's why those things are mentioned in the report.
What does fundamentally change the culture of the college? What does that mean? I mean, that's been stated half a dozen times to us over the last couple of years. I don't know what's wrong with the culture of Butler. That we have to fundamentally change it. And we fundamentally change it by keeping track of how different we are.
Well, don't you fundamentally change by the number of people you meet and the diversity of those people that you meet? I mean,
no, I just meet more people on the same.
I will tell you that teaching in Wichita and the diversity that Wichita provided me as a teacher changed me and my perspective of who I was teaching to and how I was teaching to them. And there were many factors that went into it, and it wasn't race, but it was, they just opened my eyes and they led me to a more open teacher where I'm telling you, I mean, my parents had a farm in the South and, racial inequity was definite down there. But I was always taught that you saw people. I mean, there are kids who don't identify with one particular race because they come from a mixed household. You talk about the Japanese. What happens to the kid in Japan who's coming from an American and a Japanese household? And there's more and more of those that 98% of the people in Japan may not be Japanese. Just as here in the United States, we're all changing.
I get it. I understand.
And I think equality or not, equity. I view it as this overarching. You know, I don't view it as one thing or another. I just as an overarching.
I think like with our international students, how we lower tuition and that increased them coming here, that creates great culture at the college. It changes our diversity of the, color of the skin on the campus, whatever, but we're not focusing on other countries or whatever the color of their skin is. It's like we're bringing in more culture, which is great. I just don't think we should focus on what divides us. And we should definitely not specifically have criteria of hiring people based on their differences. I think it violates.
I don't think we're focusing on what divides.
But it does say we're gonna increase diversity of faculty and staff by a measurable amount.
Okay.
Is that on last
Okay.
month's?
Yeah, I mean, if we can do it in such a way where we give the most opportunity to everyone and we hire the most qualified candidate. Great,
We
but
don't-
I just don't think we should.
We don't screen applicants based on, we screen them based on the qualifications, their degrees, their teaching experience, their work experience. We don't have any kind of question or any kind of qualifying criteria in our application process or our screening process that helps us identify what race they are, what religion they are. Sometimes you can, through a resume or something, you might be able to make an assumption, or sometimes people still put pictures on their resumes.
Sure.
You might be able to make an assumption by some of the organizations that they're a participant in, but there are very, very clear guidelines when we go through hiring processes of questions that you can ask and questions that you can't ask. And you can't ask questions that are race related, that are income related, that are family related, anything like that. So we don't have anything in our screening process that eliminates somebody based on their race or their religion or anything like that. We are looking for the best candidate that we can find based on the qualifications that are set for that specific job.
I
So
would maybe like to see some verbiage like that. I don't see that in our books. I just see
these are,
diversity, equity, inclusion, which is a terrible idea. That's ruining universities. We're just gonna go along with it because that's what we do, but it's not working out well everywhere. And I just don't
Okay.
think it's the right thing, and I think it's a violation of Civil Rights Act, or it could be, depending on what comes down the pipe.
At this time, because we don't all have last month's book
Right,
and
sorry.
page 63 and so forth, can we take this issue and have it as an item on our next
Sure.
month agenda?
I would love to have our diversity policies, like,
Yeah.
we don't discriminate against anyone, period, on anything except
We-
for their performance.
we have that. It's part of our non-discrimination policy.
Right, but I would like to have a policy, it's like a paragraph.
Well, we do have that and we publish it. And we publish it on our web pages, and we publish it on our application tracking system, all of those things. And the idea here is not to single people out based on any particular characteristic. It's really about being able to invite more people to apply so that, we're going to hire the best folks, but no,
Which is not it could be
No.
some trouble.
no, that is clearly not what this team is inspired to do.
I guess that's why I'm bristling and would like clarification that would cover us. I mean,
We are covered. I guarantee you.
Okay, so items that you have, you'll bring next month.
I could bring all of the discrimination stuff that we got posted around, and it's on our web pages if you would like to see them.
Okay. Is that,
Sure, I've just brought up this issue like half a dozen times, and when I see it, it's like. Just
so with that, are we ready to move on to monthly statement of revenue and expenditures?
I had a couple questions for Dr. Mohammed on his
Okay,
thing on 158. Sorry to pull. I got some questions. I don't know if I'm gonna get on a microphone or not.
Oh,
Sorry, you're not prepared.
I had it.
Oh, okay. I think I skipped over this last month and I wasn't prepared. I didn't run across this till after the meeting. All right, but you've got us going after first generation learners, which I think is amazing. And it said in 2021. Long and the short of it, we've gone down even a little bit in this demographic that we're searching out. What can we do to help, like when the advertising came up and we were gonna spend an additional 375 grand, I mentioned we could work at giving scholarships to Butler County residents, prioritize them to make it more affordable. Is there something we can do to first generation learners to make it?
A couple of things that I'll point out, and others may chime in as well. Right now, we are applying for a grant, which will look, if we get those funds, it'll especially be looking at outreach towards first generation learners. Very specified outreach. We'll be targeting them. This is the population. Use some verbiage which kind of addresses them directly. Talking about, well, if you're the first in the family, we know these are the challenges you face. So kind of address that programmatically at our end as well. So there's that outreach piece. Additionally, I know our director of advising is working on a project where, again, existing first generation learners, we are going to put something together for them so that eventually they can have a one-stop shop. So we are looking at that too. So those are two things I can immediately think of which are going on, but Jessica may want to.
But like if their parents went to college and never graduated, are they still a first generation learner?
I'm sorry?
Like if their parents went but never completed college, are they still a first generation?
That's something we are discussing with the Board of Regents right now. That's a great question because right now where we are finding ourselves, Kansas Board of Regents defines it in one way. The feds define it slightly.
My dad was going into molecular biology. He wouldn't take his last Spanish class. So he never graduated. It's like, so I'm the first graduate. But still, I mean, there's a lot of people I still know.
We want to have as big a reach as possible, but that's a good session. We hope to have an answer, please. It is like a lot of other things, feds say this, state says that.
Thanks, Esau. So this is something that I can speak to because we do have a task force that we've put together that is working on assisting first generation students. Right now, our focus really is on our first generation students that are already here with us, identifying who those students are, providing them services and encouragement so that they can be successful here at Butler. We have put together a schedule of different things that we're doing each month. We're going to be having a resource fair and podcasts and just lots of different things that we can try to do to encourage students. Dr. Muhammad did mention that we are applying for a grant that will help us be able to have some different activities and pay for food and things like that. This is something that we feel like is really important, but we don't currently have a budget to address it. So a grant will be important to help us move forward. Any other questions?
Is there any way we can seek out, not ones that we currently have, but people in the community that have never attended before, or the funds we could use from other things? I know we have to make decisions on that we create a campus, the sheep people that made a proposal.
Yeah.
There's funds that
And we
we're
are
looking to spend, but is there a scholarship fund that could be created, and maybe the administration can tell us?
We are working on
value?
some things like that with the foundation that will help us recruit new students that are first generation. So we are starting those things as well.
We just received a grant from Bank of America, partnering with Big Brothers and Big Sisters, who a number of their members would be
And that
considered
one
first
said
gen.
it was to create a mentorship program for graduates of the program. And many of them are so is it specifically for first generation? Or just includes the first?
Yeah, so of the, let's say, graduating class of this May, those that are part of the Big Brothers and Big Sisters program that choose to attend college would then benefit from the program that we put together. Because what Jessica mentioned is that the need for mentorship for first gens is critical. And so this program will be like a pilot of that. And it's hopefully we can create something that we can just do beyond the Big Brothers and Big Sisters experience with all of our first gens that attend.
Could this also include people that have not yet attended and seek them out, that are Big Brothers and Big Sisters, like, hey, we've got this program now? It seems to me it's like it's.
Yeah, we'll work with this concentrated group, but it'll blossom from there. We need to understand what the cost is to create the mentorship. How do we manage that as a college beyond just that grant? I think that's something we're very interested in exploring.
To me, it seemed like a lot of them would just be, they just need to be able to get their foot in the door to get their degree to get a job, and that would be the main.
That's
Who's gonna
for all of our students.
Who's going to oversee that program of Big Brothers Big Sisters?
Jessica is working with their people at Big Brothers and Big Sisters on what that will look like. We had hoped to make it more robust, and then Big Brothers Big Sisters has some budget issues, so we have to kind of scale it back down. The grant's going to help us, lift it off the ground. So it's really going to be formulating the program and understanding how we can impact.
And that starts August 2024?
It's actually starting the formation of what this is going to look like is starting now.
Yeah, okay.
Hopefully we can roll that out for the August class.
I think in terms of recruitment as well, the work that's being done now is going to help with that because we've already put out a video that marketing and Tyler put together interviewing some of our students.
First generation teacher.
Right. So that's going to encourage, the whole point of that was we're going to try to connect faculty, staff, and students together to let them know you may be the first in your family, but you're not alone. You have a group of people around you that have done this, and we're here to support you along that journey.
My 2 cents. But maybe don't make it an all-inclusive thing, just you're this person now that you're a first generation learner. It's just like, this allows you maybe some additional access or funds to get into the program. It will help you all. It's just one more thing to include. I see what you're saying. Never mind.
Okay, anything else?
Nope.
Okay, monthly statement of revenue and expenditures. It was one of the handouts that you had. Are there any questions on that?
I
Look like this. And
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve the approval of December 2023 bills and warrants.
Isn't that part of
That's part of the consent agenda.
Oh, sorry.
and this is
Which
under
one are we talking about?
supplemental information B, monthly statement of revenues and expenditures. It's information unless you have questions, what we usually see at the finance committee.
Oh, right here it is. So sorry. So sorry. I had one question about it.
Okay,
And Kent, it was the mandatory transfers. We're at 71% of the budget.
Generally, it's a term we use. It goes back. It's not, in my opinion, a real accurate term. It's debt service. It's what it is.
That's
But
what I wondered if it was. Okay.
yeah, we
Thank
actually
you.
pay for some of our long-term debt out of a debt service fund. So
Thank you.
anything else? We have thank you notes.
There's a thank you note in your board book, yes, for from typically when we have a death in our employee group or a direct family member, the board, I should say, I guess you do sort of do this, but out of our office, we, if we're able to send a small bouquet of flowers, and I send a card from my office, and then we also in the library put a memorial book in memory of that person. And so we will get thank you notes every now and then from a family member or whatever for that gesture of kindness and memory that it's a nice gesture. So.
Anything you want to point out on the board calendar?
No, there's
163.
Yeah, there's not a lot of, basketball games and some things like that, starting some track meets and things like that. But I'll send you some dates coming up for some of the fine arts events and those kinds of things that are coming up. We had a great faculty recital last week on the 18th that was really superb. And so I'll send you some dates to look forward to here. And then in next month in the board book, there'll be more to the calendar here. So.
Okay, at this time, we have an executive session scheduled. I have a motion to start or to go into executive session. And then also we'll record the time as soon as we begin. Is that how you've done that?
I'll change it a bit. Ms.
Okay.
Chair,
Mr. Shear, are you always going to do this?
I want to be right on the, I want to be Johnny on the
I
spot.
was thinking Dr. Hueslick could do it,
Okay.
since it's right there for him.
If I could talk for a minute beforehand before I make everyone mad by minute in motion. I think it would be important as a new board to have 20 minutes at the end of the session with just ourselves to discuss the same topics, to see what our direction is that we would like to proceed as a board. Like if we're hiring a vice president, I mean, there's stuff that we need to have our input on.
We don't hire vice presidents.
We approve them as submitted by Dr. Cole.
I would not be in
We're-
favor of a discussion that doesn't include Dr. Kroll. I'll just put that on the record right now. I don't have a problem with us meeting and talking about it. That's part of what exec session is for. I don't see any reason that we can't have that discussion in Dr. Kroll's presence.
I understand, but the Kansas statute, you're to appoint the president or members, and we're to appoint upon nomination of the president, members of administrative and teaching staff. So it's our job to approve who is brought to us. What kind of vice president would we like to have? I mean, we can just talk to that in open session too. I mean, in executive session with her. But we as a board should meet as a board, because we're supposed to determine the direction on the college, and we never are willing to do it ourselves. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't see the problem with it.
I can amend the
Well-
motion, you guys can vote the amendment down. I just want.
I'm,
to get the
I'm
heads
happy
up.
to share with you, when we are discussing this, the timeline and the process that will be used. There's a search committee that'll be chosen. Forrest is right. The only employee that you hire is me. And that's the only process that you're technically involved in, is to hire the president. The other administrators are in charge of hiring the other folks. And so we're the ones that design the process. I've had conversations with deans and with faculty about this process that will be implemented to hire the VP. I'm happy to share that with you. But it's myself and the search committee and the people on the ground that will determine, the candidates that we bring to campus and who we eventually select as a candidate. I'll bring that to you for approval, hopefully.
I
but-
understand, I appreciate it, but the board should also be able to give you input as to what kind of candidate we'd like to see. And not just whatever you give us, we take it or leave it, and we have no input of any kind. I think it's our responsibility to give you input and to be able to talk about what we value in a vice president amongst ourselves, and then give you our opinions.
Happy to accept that, just as I would accept opinions from faculty and from the deans. I think we have to be really careful about the board's step into hiring processes. I don't want it to be perceived as the board dictating in any way, shape, or form, how we move through that process.
But we have
Your
a statute,
opinion-
we have to approve or deny who you present to us.
No, you approve what you're approving is the fact that we're hiring this person. When I bring that person's name to you, we will have made an offer. We will have agreed on a salary. That's
I'd
how
like to
it comes.
preemptively give you some direction as a board.
That's not our job.
It's our job we're responsible for the operation, management, and control of the college through our
Me.
one employee, Dr. Cole.
Yes.
We have to be able to give her direction and not just accept whatever she presents us. I mean, if not, I don't know why we're here. And we
don't
should
think
still
that
be
that's
able to
the
have a
right
meeting to discuss.
It's certainly not the process that we've had for ever, because we make an offer before. Or
I guess what I'm saying in basic. We as a board should be able to discuss in private our non-elected official, one employee, Dr. Cole, without her presence. As a board, I mean, if not, how do we?
That's not what this exec session is about.
I'm going to amend it I'm just trying to give everyone a heads up that I would like to amend it to have a 20-minute conversation as a new board to discuss what we would like our employee to do, to give direction to this institution in private. We set Dr. Kroll's goals each year, and we've already done that for this year. We Why have are a new we? board.
So,
That-
Forrest, in your mind, is there ever a reason for the board to meet without Dr. Kroll?
In my mind, no, but that's sort of beside the point. I don't think the timing right now. We're not resetting Dr. Kroll's goals in January simply because we have one new trustee.
I
Dr.
understand,
Hueslick
but
can
we're-
look at the goals that we agreed upon and approved back in August or September and understand that's what we decided on going in for the rest of this year. And by all means, when it comes time to set those new goals and do Dr. Kroll's evaluation this summer, he'll be a part of that discussion. I don't know what we're accomplishing by setting aside 20 minutes tonight. I don't know what
We're having a discussion as a board amongst ourselves and
for what purpose.
to direct our employee is how we like the college to go. But
Dr. Kroll, when you narrow down the candidates, will you have a public?
Well, when we bring our final candidates in.
Yes.
For interview, there will be an employee forum. There
Okay.
will be folks on campus that have an opportunity
Okay.
to connect with that person, but I won't bring, the search process is confidential.
Right.
Extremely confidential. And so until we identify our final candidates and make those names public, and schedule interviews, there'll be an open forum for our employees to be able to, come and listen to a presentation and meet that person. Or meet those people, however many we have. The deans will have an opportunity to have connection with them, exec council will. But that's the process, and we'll do tours on, both campuses. There'll be plenty of exposure for our employees to get to, have a chance to listen to whoever we bring in and ask questions.
I guess my point also is we're already seeing spring numbers that are a decline from last spring. So it's once again, one more semester of loss after expending double the amount of advertising. Are we happy with just continuing however it goes forever and we have no input? We just do an evaluation once a year and whatever happens, happens. And why are we here if we don't have any input or any say? It seems odd to me that we're just going to accept whatever we're presented. Because to be blunt, what we've been presented so far with the results so far may not be the best that we could expect. Maybe we should try a few different options. Main competition 20 miles away is at record highs. And we're nearing record lows. I'm not sure. Maybe we as a board should take 20 minutes of our own time to say, this is how we're going to do it. That's the majority consensus. Sure. If it's not, maybe we can tweak a few things. I don't
Okay,
think it's out of line.
you can make your budget amendment or your amendment to the executive session. We'll see if it passes. I just want to add on a personal level, I do not want to start listening to all of this stuff as a one-off item. If we want to talk about enrollment, then let's have a subject matter and let's talk about it. But hearing every time that we're down because of this, we never get to the real basis of the problem, the solution, or anything else. We just listen and we spend 20 or 30 minutes, but we aren't prepared to come and discuss these things. If we want to discuss them, let's get them on the agenda and let's talk about them when we've all had an opportunity to do some investigation study on our own. I can bring you some information that I was privileged to in the last month about enrollments. Came out of WSU and a study they had done. It directly reflects technology. We have technology funds that we're able to do something with. Let's talk about those kind of things and the solutions in a format where we're all prepared to talk. And it's just my own personal opinion, but I just think we're wasting a lot of time when others of us are not prepared to think about what you're bringing up. I'm happy to discuss the items. I want to take and make lists at the end of the meeting. I'd like to go through what we think happened this evening and what we're looking forward to in our next meeting. If there's something else that needs to be added, fine. And I hope we'll figure out a process to add these questions so that everyone has a chance to be prepared. Just me. So if you want to propose your amended motion,
We can read it and I'll just move to amend it and that can get voted up or down and let it pass. I
Okay,
think that'd be the most.
David. Do you want to continue?
Dr. Huesling. And he's prepared,
He's prepared to make the motion. Okay.
per Mary Martha.
Okay.
We get to hear from me.
Madam Chair, I
Yes.
move that the board recess into executive session to discuss negotiations pursuant to the open meetings exceptions for said matters relating to employer-employee negotiations, and that the board, President Kim Kroll, Bill Rinkenbaugh, Shelley Stoltz, Dr. Phil Sperry, and probably
No, no,
and no,
no, you're right. Phil Sperry.
and Kent Williams be included. And discussion relating to non-selected personnel, which if discussed in open session might violate the right to privacy, with the board and President Kim Kroll present.
And I'll second. Oh. Go ahead and read the next line.
Oh. The meeting will resume in the Dankert trustee boardroom within 45 minutes.
And I'll second.
I would move to amend the motion to have an additional 20 minutes with trustees only to discuss non-elected personnel.
Okay, do we have a vote on the amendment, please?
You need to say.
Somebody'd have to.
Oh, I
second
need
mine or
a
it
second for
dies.
that.
I
Do we
would
have a
second
second?
the amendment. I
Okay.
just don't see the harm in it.
Trustee Good,
No.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
No.
trustee Jolly,
No.
trustee Hueslig,
No.
trustee Shearer,
No.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, then do we go back to the original motion? Do I have a vote on that, please?
Okay, trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslig,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, we will record the time that the executive session begins and go from there for 45 minutes and record the ending time. And
Yeah, take a quick break. We can do that.
My personal thought is she's a
Okay, we're back. We exited into executive session at 6:51 and returned at 7:32. We need some additional time to discuss non-elected personnel, so I would welcome a motion.
Madam, oh, go ahead.
So moved.
You have to give me a time and
Oh, 10 more minutes? 20?
How about 15?
15 for 15 minutes.
We're always wrong. 18 and a half.
Okay.
New chair, they're all different.
Okay, so we have motion to recess to executive session to negotiate non-elected personnel for 15 minutes. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Okay.
Let's see what.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shear,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Just to be that guy you said to negotiate non-elected personnel. Do you mean discuss non-elected personnel?
Discuss.
Okay, yes, then. I move to amend that. No, I'm not.
Formally?
Said yes. No, no, no.
Okay.
I know that's
How's married life, Jennifer? Good. Good.
Her husband grocery shops. Yeah.
Clean.
Yes, clean.
Does he grocery shop like the commercial floating around right now? Like you can do Instacart while you're at the football game and you can grocery shop while, yeah.
We're back from executive session and we need an additional 5 minutes of executive session to discuss non-elected personnel. Do I have a motion?
I'd move for 5 additional minutes to discuss non-elected personnel.
Okay, a second,
I'll second. No, it's second.
and if you'll do roll call, please.
Okay. Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes,
sorry, trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
7:55 will be fine. Okay, we've ended our last executive session. We entered at 7:55 and returned at 7:59. One final overview I wanted to give quickly was a review of the things we're expecting at our next meeting. So the HLC draft from the committee. We expect turf replacement cost by March. Hopefully, but by March, we need a report on where and when we're getting it. HLC, of course, will be included in the February meeting. Fleet replacement. We think core community will come back. We expect the Redler signage. And then I have two future things that are a little bigger. Oh, also, Shelley will give us more information on the hiring process in relation to equity and diversity. And then the two future things that I put down, the first one is an overall enrollment discussion that includes apprenticeship dollars, technology solutions, maybe reporting on where we're losing the biggest percentage and things like that. We can couch that. And the other thing was to talk about the benefit of of a board liaison for Fortis information. Is there anything else that anyone can think of that we?
Board liaison for what?
The Fortis data,
Fortis.
BKD data,
BKD stuff.
Oh.
which I think that would help get your previous thing addressed as well, because that's where all that information is.
Yeah.
Well, Fortis is really about finances.
Well, it's enrollment, class sizes, attendance, butts and seats, how many people go to the events.
Yeah, yeah.
It gives a lot of data, maybe not.
Okay.
It'll at least give us a chance to understand the BKD Fortis capabilities better. So as we're asking for things. Also in the future, wasn't really discussed tonight, but I know that the legislative post audit on athletics is nearing the end. And
I'll be able to report on that.
okay, so then going along with that, I think there's more discussion that board members would like to have. So in our future discussion items, we can have Butler athletics.
At some point too, I mentioned it that last August, we got that Dr. Christian, but it would be nice to involve the VPs in some discussions on how their departments are doing and where they see that. We get an overview occasionally, but we never really dug down with any of them on what they feel about it or how things are going or.
In
So
reference to,
I think it's important to give some specific, because if they're going to spend some time putting some stuff together, we need specific topics for them. Maybe more that we.
Like, for instance, our class sizes are 13.1 on average, like how do we rectify that? Or, I mean, there's a lot of discussion. Yes.
I would like to add something.
Yes.
This isn't for next month, but in the future, I would like Bill Rinkenbach to talk about Butler 2000. It is an excellent program, but I don't think we are seeing those graduates in our system. I talked to a 42-year-old graduate last week, and I said, those college hours are still available to you. And she had no idea. Maybe we could reach out to those classes, because it's been going on for 30 years.
When do your classes, because my daughter Mara talks about this, she's got 35 hours. So it's like, I think they expire soon, but I don't think.
No, was she in Butler 2000?
I don't think so. She was just a dual credit high school.
Her hours are good forever.
Yeah.
I mean, their credit hours are good forever.
She's like, well, maybe I'll go back and finish it.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't know. She had-
Butler 2000, it's only for middle school kids.
Oh.
And your counselors, parents, teachers recommend so many kids enter the class. Each school district in Butler County puts up so much money, and they meet in the summer for 2 weeks for 3 years.
Yeah.
And it's just wonderful.
Yeah,
It's
they're usually
wonderful.
Students that are identified that might be sort of at risk for a variety. of
Very
different
much at
things.
risk, yes.
If they complete each of those 3 summers, then the scholarship that they get.
It's free.
Well, and it, I
Or
mean,
it's just set aside for them in the future.
they can come right away, or a few years ago, had a student that was in our welding program, a non-traditional age student that was probably in his forties, that came back. But I did the Eagle, remember that?
I think the number, when I heard it last, was under 60-some% that are using their free scholarship.
It'd be worth a postcard at least.
Yeah, just remember, we're still here for you, you know.
Okay, we'll try to continue this list of things. And as I said before, I'm not opposed to talking about topics or subjects. I just want enough lead time that the staff can be prepared to give us information and so forth. So with that said, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Well, thank you.
Okay, trustee Good.
Yes.
Trustee Brungart.
Yes.
Trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Jolly.
Yes.
Trustee Hueslick.
Yes.
Trustee Shear.